Welcome to Within the Realm. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. Before we get underway, I'd like to send a shout out to all the listeners who have subscribed or shared our show with friends, the true believers in our little endeavor here. We are grateful for your support. Now, for the rest of you, it's not too late to earn our gratitude. Subscribe to our show and spread the word. Let us know about it on social media or by email. We'll share the links later in the episode. Now, down to business. This is Within the Realm, where we tell stories. Stories that begin in my immediate world, within my realm, if you will, but stretch out from there. Stories that seem humble or quaint at first glance, but can have an outsized ripple effect on review. Our tale today involves two university students headed towards graduation, self-diagnosed with a bad case of senioritis. For their final assignment, they picked an easy subject to cover, but they realized they got more than they bargained for. As listeners of this show know, I love music. The more local, the better. Recently, I came across a documentary made by a couple of Kansas University students about the pandemic and the local music scene in Lawrence, Kansas. The documentary is entitled Still Spinning: Lawrence Music Survives a Pandemic, and it was created and produced by recent KU journalism grads Nicole Dolan and Cami Coons. This sounded like something perfect for Within the Realm. But I didn't know just how perfect the story fit our brand until we were in the middle of it. It's Cami and Nicole's story to tell, but we all ended up with something more than we bargained for. You guys have just graduated with a journalism degree. What is it you want to do with that degree? And I'll ask you first, Cami.
Yeah, I would love to continue following the journalism degree. I think this project and a lot of other things that I've done throughout my undergrad have made me realize that I really like working with video or like podcasting formats. So I'm kind of looking for like a multimedia reporter type position that allows me to write, make video and audio stuff. And I think a lot of newsrooms are kind of looking for that now. So yay me. Just looking for that, for someone to find me and hire me.
Nicole, what about you? What are your hopes to move forward in the journalism world?
I did mostly reporting heavy for print media during my college career, but I've quickly realized with the documentary that Cami and I made that a lot of excitement and love for the field really stemming from video editing and producing. I kind of hope that I can stay in that multimedia aspect, but I still love telling like long form feature stories, and community reporting is very important to me.
What brought on this documentary?
Cami and I were in the same senior capstone class. By the end of it, you were supposed to create a documentary and for it to be submitted in the Lawrence Film Festival. On the very first day, we all got asked to bring a pitch to the table, and I was like, I would like to do something on the music community and how they were affected by COVID because I love music. I'm a music minor. Cami and I had not met each other before this class, and then we just collided forces and it was born.
Did you have an expectation of what you would find as you made the documentary?
Honestly, it took a while for us to get things going just because we were having a lot of senioritis and a lot of burnout because it's our last semester, and going to college in a pandemic is really not motivating. I don't know. I had no expectations. Honestly, I was really nervous because a lot of people were pitching like sport related stories. And so I didn't even think that anyone would be interested in working on this topic. Kimmy and I are always giggling about how we ended up becoming like the perfect pair.
I think I actually had really low expectations for this project because, no offense, not because of Nicole by any means, but just because every senior who works for KJHK ends up doing their senior project if they're a journalism student about like, oh, the Lawrence music scene, because we just have all these connections through working at the radio station. So it's kind of like the cop out, like the easy out story. And so what we ended up producing was so much better and ended up being so much more than like what I was even expecting it to be. And I think that really is a testament to just how well we work together. And we were kind of slow getting started. We couldn't figure out who our main sources were going to be and who we were going to talk to. All of a sudden, everything just like boom, 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 lined up all right in a row. And then we interviewed them and got their stories, and we were like, oh my gosh, those were amazing stories. We left feeling inspired to like go on and continue creating after talking to Chess Club and to Carlos and the land board members and everything. Honestly, it just all fell in place wonderfully for us.
So how did you settle in on the artists that you did? I understand that the White Schoolhouse is alternative music central there in Lawrence.
Yeah, the White Schoolhouse does a lot with Land, that organization that we featured there. Their whole idea is promoting like all age shows and all inclusive shows. It just kind of ended up working out really well that we got to use the White Schoolhouse. After we interviewed Chess Club and realizing like Chess Club built the stage at the White Schoolhouse and have like a really strong relationship with the owner. And so it just kind of ended up working out really well that we used that space and were able to feature it.
We even thought about having it becoming like KC centric. We're like, oh God, like no one's responding because also we are in a pandemic. Everyone is always on their computer, not really answering emails. And so honestly, once we just got one response, we were like, okay, let's just record B-roll and then hopefully something else works out. And then it did. Yeah, the universe was on our side, really.
Was the documentary intended as a photograph in time? This is what's happening to creative types during the pandemic, or was there a bigger thesis?
When I initially pitched it, you could, I guess, phrase it like that, but then it became more so how to really have hope in times of trial and how to trust yourself and trust your craft and not give up on something that you're passionate about, even when literally everything in the world is telling you to stop. It slowly transitioned into like a story of call to action and hope and believing in yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually like the way that you phrased it as like kind of appealing to all creatives, because I think that when we started it, it was like, oh yeah, this is going to be support your local music scene, you know, go out and stream their music, buy their albums. When shows open back up, go support them and go to their shows. And then after we did, especially that interview with Carlos, that was the first person that we interviewed. And we both just left that feeling like reinvigorated in our craft and like wanting to be content creators, because I mean that's what we are. Even though I'm not a musician, I found a lot of inspiration from this project, and like that's what I really hope people who watch it, that they get something out of it as well. As whatever your passion is, Carlos has that really good line at the end, you know, like whatever it is, even if you can only dedicate 5 minutes and it's something that ends up being kind of crappy and you don't do anything with it, like spend that time dedicated to your craft and doing what you love to do, because that's the number one way you're going to get fulfillment in your life. And why would you not use your time doing what you're passionate about? Yeah, I think it definitely ended up becoming a much broader theme and like more applicable theme, which is crazy because we didn't plan that at all. I think we went in thinking, oh yeah, music was hit hard, let's talk about it and get people to support local music. And then we came out being like, whoa, well, I feel inspired now.
You guys talked a little bit about how making the documentary inspired you. So, I mean, what were you guys feeling going through the quarantine and the pandemic?
So at the beginning of the pandemic, I broke up with someone that I dated for 3 years. So I was going through a breakup and then healing and isolation. So that's interesting. Also, prepping for graduating. Wow, the rest of my life is going to be determined a year from now. And also, if I step outside, I could die. So very anxious, very stressful. School was very challenging just because attendance was optional. I was still editing for the University Daily Kansan as arts and culture editor, which I loved over the summer. I got to cultivate the craft, and I was community editor in the fall, which was a little bit more hands-off. It was a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of imposter syndrome, because I was like, I need a job by May. And wow, the clock is really ticking, and I have no idea what I'm doing with my life, but hopefully this is the right way. And so honestly, would not have gotten through senior year without this project. It really breathed life and love for journalism back into me. But that interview with Carlos really changed our lives for the rest of the semester. Even just recording B-roll with Press Club that very first time, we're like, oh my God, this is why we're journalists. Oh my God, this is why we create content, because of the feeling of connecting with people and being honored to see the intricacies and the intimacy of seeing someone's soul and someone's heart through storytelling. Like, that's an honor that we get to use our platform for that. We beat senioritis and now we're done.
Cami, what about you? How was quarantine for you, and how did you make it through?
I totally agree, honestly, with everything that Nicole said. I feel like quarantine and going into, I think everyone kind of reaches this point in their schooling where they realize, or they get to a point where they feel like they're not getting anything out of it anymore. And it's just like going through the motions. So you get those last couple credits that you need so you can get the piece of paper and go on and start your career. And I was really, really feeling that, to the point where like I was not trying as much in my class. Like, I've always been a really good student, and I feel like I have not tried nearly as hard because I haven't had that same passion, or like I haven't felt like it was worthwhile. So I've put my energy more into my job with KJHK or other projects that I work on outside of school. When it came time to work on this project, I was like, all right, again, going through the motions. I wasn't expecting a lot out of this project. I was like, fine, I'll work on this music one because I have all these connections. It'll be the easy one for me to do. Nicole seems cool. We'll figure it out. Seriously, yeah, the first time we shot B-roll, I think we just went to my car after we left filming Chess Club. I think we went to my car and we're just like screaming for a while about how excited we were. And because we seriously had been like zombies. And then that moment was like, wake up, seriously, this is what you're doing. This is what you love. Reminder, newsflash, pun intended, you're on the path and like doing what you love, and keep doing this. Put your energy into this project because it's actually worthwhile and it's what you want to do. I think it was more than important. The interview with Carlos seriously changed us. Like, I had a whole different perspective my senior semester after that interview.
Watching your documentary, is there something that we can take with us? And what would you think it is?
I mean, seriously, find what you're passionate about and work towards it every single day. There's, again, to go back to Carlos, there's a part where he talked about, you know, you get older and you think, well, should I just like work this career and say, screw it to my passion and just do what's going to make me a decent salary and what's going to put food on the table and pay my rent? Pursuing your passion is sometimes not going to do those things. And so it's hard to try to make that a priority. And so I think just hearing him talk about how he was going through those same feelings too, but that he was still building that studio in his house, teaching himself how to play the drums and doing all this other stuff to work towards that. That's what I hope people take out of it, you know? Don't just settle for the easy path if it's not what's going to make you happy ultimately.
Right. Even when other people don't think that it's like the conventional response or reaction to what you should do for a career, if it makes you happy, if it fulfills you, that's enough. Especially talking about like journalism and music, it makes me happy, and that's enough. Changing your mindset to like, this is what is going to remind me of my worth. This is what is going to remind me that at the end of the day, like, what matters is my well-being, that is life-changing. And I hope that people find something to identify with in the documentary, whether it's David's personal anecdotes. I think each subject that we interviewed had something really valuable to say, whether it's like grieving their time in the pandemic. We can all have that shared experience of hell that we experienced. So that's kind of like nice. But then also, now is now. So what are you going to do about it?
For sure. It made me kind of change my priorities. Before, I feel like I was thinking, I want to work in a big city. I want to work at a big publication and make my career like my number one focus. And then like when all of that was kind of taken away for a minute and we actually had time to be people and, make your priority being a human and going for walks and spending time with your loved ones, doing stuff like that, it kind of made me realize that's what's important to me, and like I want to be a mom and I want to do stuff like that. So yeah, I want to follow my passion and do what I love, but also it's made me realize that there are more important things in life than myself. It's kind of made me have a less self-centered outlook on life and my role in a community and what I can do as a person. It allowed a lot of time to think about that and really decide what my priorities were. If I still wanted to live in a big city, a lot of people changed their minds after COVID when everything was shut down, and like being in a big city was definitely a disadvantage during the pandemic versus if you were in a smaller community. Like even in Lawrence, we still had a lot of stuff that was open and a lot of freedom to move around and do things that people in like New York or Chicago or LA like didn't have the freedom to do. So it just kind of put everything in check for me.
What about you, Nicole?
I would say that 2020, it made me think about understanding like who I am. I thought that I had a really good grasp on who I was before COVID. And I thought that I knew who Nicole was, but I think that senior year, especially going through my first year of college without like a significant other, was very, very impactful. Taught me what I am capable of without relying on another person and learning to trust myself. I made it to where I am in my career because of my hard work, which is like, whoa, that's insane. Just allowing myself to learn to be open to what the world is going to give to me in return. I think that I would always get really, really caught up in long-term planning, and COVID kind of forced all of us to like sit down and be like, okay, this is your reality right now. Do what you can do today. And so this year taught me slow down, take in every single day, because we're lucky to have the day that we do.
It's like stopping the train. You do this, you go to college, you get a job, blah, 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 blah. Putting a halt on that train for a second and thinking, whoa, 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 is this actually what I want to do? Is this the right path for me? Totally agree.
We just hope that if someone can feel something from it, then we win. I don't think either of us really view this as like our senior capstone. It's like our child. It's like our baby, because it reminded us of who we are too.
You definitely never know what you're walking into when you sign up for a group project in a class. It could end up being the worst thing you've ever done, or you end up making, a lifelong friend and collaborator. So thankfully we had the latter situation, and that's just another thing I'm really grateful for to come out of this project.
What started out as another assignment to get one last decent grade before moving on turned into, well, something else. It became a renewed love for what they do. It forged a new collaborative friendship with our two grads and gave a clearer understanding for who they are and what they want out of their lives. Nicole and Cammie left the rest of us the documentary that provides all the necessary elements to help the audience find the same things they did. Except for the friendship. That's up to you. Still Spinning, Lawrence Music Survives a Pandemic can be streamed as part of the virtual Free State Film Festival beginning June 21st through the 28th. It can also be found on the YouTube page of the KU radio station KJHK. Links will be in the episode notes on your favorite podcast platform or in the show notes on our website at withinpodcast.com. We'll also provide links to the bands and other groups featured in the documentary. Special thanks go out to Nicole Dolan and Cami Coons for taking time for the interview and walking me through their very special experience. I wish both of you great success in your post-graduation endeavors. You can find the information regarding this episode, plus an archive of past episodes, on our home on the web, withinpodcast.com. Feel free to leave us a message at contact@withinpodcast.com or on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links are on the website. Within the Realm is written and produced by me, Steve Garrett. Our theme music is provided by 556.5. Transitional music is provided by Chess Club. Be sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use so you don't miss an episode. And, as always, thanks for listening.